Hey, what's going on, everybody? Subby here at the mobile weather station here from my house. I want to welcome everybody to Subby's West Central Missouri LRC winter forecast. So, very excited we get together tonight. One thing you probably do not notice is going to be the chat box that we normally have up on our live streams. I am going to be monitoring chat throughout the entire event tonight. We will answer any question toward the end of the stream after I get done going through our LRC winter forecast. Then I will be more than happy to answer any questions you guys might have concerning the LRC winter forecast or maybe our current weather that we have right now. So, what I am doing is just making sure everybody is available here on the stream. And we are going to get started here just in a couple minutes. Again, thanks to our sponsors, Benware Tractor and Automotive and Gary's Towing and Recovery, as these guys, they allow us to be able to bring all this information to you guys via Radford Media Group. So thank you so much for sponsoring SkyTrack Weather Forecast as well as our LRC winter forecast for the 2024-25 season. Again, that's Benware Tractor and Automotive. They're in Urick, as well as their new location here in Clinton, and of course Gary's Towing and Recovery. These guys have, I've heard nothing but great things here, actually just over the last 2 or 3 weeks, in which my folks was one of them that took advantage of Gary's Towing, and they sure greatly appreciate it. All right, so let's go ahead and let's get started, guys. So, again, thank you guys for tuning in tonight. We are going to kind of keep this. I'm not going to go too technical, but I want you guys to understand the LRC and where I get my forecast from when we talk about long range forecasting. I think I got some great graphics to help understand the LRC and hopefully be able to get the point across of what an innovative methodology that Gary Lezak, former KSHB TV meteorologist, founded in the 80s and developed Weather 2020, and now over 30 years in the making. I've been a strong proponent for the last 20. So anyway, I want to share that information with you guys because I'm sure this is going to be something that our kids and our grandkids, they're going to be using this methodology and the technology for years to come. But first, before we jump into the LRC long range, let's take a look at what we can expect over the next couple 3 days. I did go ahead and put together a forecast, but look at this sponsor name, Weather Center. What is this? So we are looking for a business or organization that would like to sponsor our Weather Center. So I encourage you, if you know somebody or if you have a business that would love to get a sponsorship for the Weather Center, it's used on a lot of my graphics, all of my live streams, especially during bad winter weather, severe weather coming up this spring. Your name is going to be out there for everybody to see. So we are looking for a sponsor, just one organization, one business here in West Central Missouri that would like to sponsor the Weather Center at 95.3 KDKD and Radford Media Group. So we would love to hear from you. give the radio station a call, talk to Clay. He'll give you all the details. Now, let's jump into our forecast for the next 3 days. So, we have this cold front moved through yesterday afternoon. We're also going to see the possibility of a couple of flurries overnight tonight. It's not going to be any accumulation, just a 15% chance we could see some flurries overnight tonight into early tomorrow morning. But the big hoopla is going to be obviously the temperatures, as we are going to be 35 degrees is all we're going to warm up tomorrow. We're going to have some mixed sun and clouds throughout the day, and then tomorrow night, low of 18 degrees. We're right back down into the upper teens. And if you know a family or an individual, or you see somebody that looks like they could use a good warm meal, I encourage you to send them over to 209 Jefferson, just off the square in Clinton, where First Baptist Church, the Door of Hope, and Henry County Emergency Management, they are going to be open tomorrow night for a warming shelter overnight. Get hot food, coffee, the whole 9 yards. So encourage you guys to spread the word on that. Thursday, we're looking for kind of a rebound, 49 degrees, low of 31 on Thursday. And then Friday, yeah, you're looking at it right. We have a chance for rain, showers, and maybe even a couple claps of thunder on Friday afternoon and into the day on Saturday. We're going to be warming up to 52 degrees on Friday. Friday night dropping down above freezing at 34 degrees. So that's our forecast for the next 3 days. The thunderstorm chances on Friday and Saturday, they are fitting the LRC to a T. And let's just dive right in to the LRC winter forecast. West Central Missouri at a glance. So our average snowfall in West Central Missouri is about 11.5 inches per year. Now that's the average snowfall I've taken from the 8 counties that make up West Central Missouri that we do the forecasting for. The 2023-2024 8-county average last season was 8.4 degrees. 8.4 inches of snowfall. It has been several years since we have seen at least an average snowfall, and that average snowfall continues to decrease each year. There was no significant icing events last year, and the coldest recorded temperature was -8 degrees, and that was in Cass County. We had several reports of -3, -5, -6, but the coldest temperature was recorded in Cass County at -8 degrees last year. Now, what is the LRC? The LRC stands for the Lezak Recurring Cycle. It is the centerpiece of the atmospheric jigsaw puzzle. Okay, so there's 4 core principles of the LRC. There's a unique pattern that sets up each fall, right around October 6th. There's a river of air above us, and if you guys follow or have watched any of my live streams, my forecast, you guys know I'm avid as far as looking at that 500 millibar chart, 18,000 feet above our heads. That's that atmosphere river that the LRC is talking about. This tells us where the low pressure systems are, where the high pressure systems are, where these storm systems going to go. You can follow that river of air. Now, anchor troughs, where storm systems are more frequent and stronger, and anchor ridges, like an upside down U, where storm systems are less frequent and weaker, develop in the fall and continue through the winter, spring, and summer before a new weather pattern sets up in the fall, again, typically right around October 6th. A cycle length evolves and then is consistent as the weather pattern repeats itself until that new pattern evolves the following fall. So that's what we have been trying to figure out since October 6th, is how many days in between the cycles before we begin to see a repeat of what we seen prior. And we do believe that we have found that at least a rough guess of the number of days between the cycle. And I keep a log that had been looked at from my peers as well. And right now we're looking 47 to 50 day cycle length, meaning that every 48 days the cycle will repeat itself. And if we know what day 5 of the first cycle looked like weather-wise, we know what day 5 of the second cycle is going to look like. And we can continue that same routine all the way into next fall, into August and September. So it's fascinating, absolutely fascinating. Now, the LRC is not the only influence of our weather. As you can see here on the screen, there's several other little pieces that will affect our weather, such as one thing that I look at during the winter months, and that's the AO. It's up there in the North Pole. That stands for the Arctic Oscillation. If it is weak pressure up at the North Pole, air pressure, that means that the AO goes negative, in a negative value. Is fairly weak. That means that cold Arctic air can actually sink further into the United States, possibly having a polar front, Arctic air breakaway through the Midwest. So that is something that I definitely keep a very close eye on during this time of year. But we also have the North Atlantic Oscillation. We have the trade winds, La Nina, El Nino. Those are terms that you guys are very familiar with. All of those are small influences of our weather pattern, but the biggest, the centerpiece of that puzzle is the LRC. So let's continue on here. So what we found so far is that the LRC for this year, for 2024-2025, is going to be made up of two main patterns within a cycle. Okay, so the first half of the LRC cycle, this is going to be the colder part of the cycle. This is actually what we are seeing right now. Okay, we are kind of at the tail end of that first half of the LRC cycle. We are in cycle number 2 currently right now. So we are in that first half of the second cycle of the LRC. Now, what you are looking at right here, this is a trough. And this is going to happen 2, 3, maybe 4 times during that first half. We will see a trough over southern Canada, over into the northeast states, up in Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin. And notice, you guys remember me talking about this many times, we're in the northwest flow, meaning that we are going to get wind from the northwest, from up here into Canada, and that's going to be the colder part of the cycle. But all of the activity, all of the rain, the snow, the precipitation is way over here in the near the East Coast. So we're going to have 1 or 2 systems that will come through. We can't rule out some flurries, maybe a small snow event, 1-2 inches. But for the most part, this is going to be the dry part of the cycle. We are going to have some dry stretches because if you remember back October 6th, It was very, very dry. That was day number 1 of the first cycle. It was very dry for the first couple weeks, but we had some cold snaps in there as well. That is what we can expect for the first few times of the first half of the LRC cycle, which, if we are guessing right around 48 days in between the cycle, that means that for the first about 24 days of the first cycle is going to be that dry part, colder part of the LRC. Now, one thing I found that was fascinating was I went back to some of the posts that I made about the LRC earlier in the year, back in October. Now, I want you to take a look at this. Now, this was for 12/6, which was here just a few days ago, 4 days ago. And you notice where that low pressure system is. So, matter of fact, that low pressure system was, let's see here, it was sitting right about here where the L is. That is where the low pressure system is. That was on 12/6. Now take a look back October 6th, the first day of the cycle. Notice where that low pressure system is. It is right back about in the exact same location on October 6th. We were getting the northwest flow, and the upper air patterns look almost identical. Okay, and this is the 500 millibar chart. This is 18,000 feet above our heads. This is where the jet stream is, that atmospheric river. And this was back on 10/6, the first day of the cycle. Now let's go back to 12/6. And let's see here. Let's go back here. Let me get out of that. That was 12/6. We had the low pressure system right here. Unbelievable. The common characteristics of the same upper air pattern. This is what's fascinating about the LRC. So, of course, this was 10/6. We had the same setup. Northwest winds in that northwest flow. That was the cold part of the pattern. Now, the boring first half is going to be, this is going to be outside of the active stretch of the pattern. This will be the colder part, as well as having a couple of minor systems within that first half of the LRC cycle. Now, let's jump over to the second half of the LRC cycle. This is dated up here 12/15. This is the multiple storm systems will start to line up one after another in the active stretch of the cycle. The last 24 days of the cycle is going to be extremely active. We have a lead system, which is designated by this low pressure system. It will come through and will typically provide us with the chance of heavy rains, maybe some strong storms, maybe even severe weather a couple times during these cycles in the winter. And yes, you can get severe thunderstorms every month out of the year here in West Central Missouri. And then we have what's called a kicker system. This is going to be a system that's going to dive down to kick that first system out of the way, and it's going to be bringing in the colder air. It's going to be bringing in some Canadian air that will infiltrate into the Midwest, and then our last storm system will kick this one out and will provide the moisture, since we already have that cold air in place, for a strong winter storm. And we will get into how many of these winter storms that we're projecting here in just a couple more slides downstream. But the biggest takeaway from this is that these storms will line up one after another, and we will have the chance for severe weather, heavy rains, and possibly, if the timing is right, a major winter storm in the second half of the LRC cycle. Excuse me. Now, what is all this telling us about in this active part of the cycle? So, there's going to be a potential to see some strong storms, maybe even a couple severe possibilities in the second half of the cycle. Excuse me. Got all choked up there. I love talking about the LRC. So, this is going to be between December 16th and January 6th. We're going to have that potential of that first big system coming across the Midwest, providing a focus for heavy rains and the possibility to see a strong storm or two, maybe even severe weather. December 16th through January 6th. We're also going to be seeing well above average rainfall in the second half of each cycle, which is going to be great news from the ag standpoint. Now, don't get me wrong, we are going to have some dry periods in each cycle. We're going to have 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks of dry weather. And remember, this is going to carry on all the way into the spring, into the summer, and into the fall again. So, but the good news is the fact that we should see well above average precipitation for the next 10 months. Now, this is probably the most important factor of the LRC winter forecast. Remember when we went over the overview of 2023-2024 winter, we didn't have any icing events. But what we're catching on to now is I'm going to go back a couple slides. When system number 1 comes through, provides a lot of rain, maybe some strong storms. When kicker system number 2 comes and pushes that out, it's going to be bringing in some colder Arctic air in place. And what's going to happen, that battleground between the warmer air and the moisture and the Arctic air is going to set us up maybe for a couple of significant ice events as we go into, again, that second half of the season. Now, that could be a mixture of sleet, freezing rain, maybe mixed precipitation, but I am expecting for us to see a couple of significant icing events in the second half of each cycle during the winter. Now we go to the snowfall. Now remember when we were talking about what the average snowfall was for west central Missouri for the 8 counties. It was a little over 11.5 inches of snowfall. So if you live northwest of west central Missouri, up in Kansas City, St. Joe, Wyandotte, maybe Harrisonville, Raymore, Belton, all the way up to Chillicothe, Trenton, you guys are going to be above average snowfall. 15 to 20 inches of snowfall is what I am expecting. Average is a little over 12.5 for that area in the northwest zones. So above average snowfall, 15 to 20 inches of snowfall. Now for most of west central Missouri, 11 to 17. Now the reason why that's such a big spread is because I do think that for the southern counties, say Vernon, St. Clair, Benton counties, are going to be on the lower end of those totals. Why? Is because I think they have a little bit better chance to see more of these icing events. So that's going to cut back on some of their snowfall total. But for the rest of West Central Missouri, for Bates County, Henry, Pettis, Johnson, parts of Cass, I'm expecting somewhere between the 14 to 17 inch total snowfall for this winter, which is well above average. So here we go from way below average snowfall to modestly above average snowfall. So that's quite a difference there. And then of course further south, Springfield area, Rolla, Farmington, West Plains, maybe even Joplin, 5 to 10 inches of snowfall. Historically, their average is very low anyhow, but with a mixture of some icing events on top of that anyway, that's the reason why those snow totals are so low for those counties down to the southeast of West Central Missouri. There's going to be more ice, and historically, they don't get the snowfall that, say, up in the Kansas City, West Central Missouri area typically get on a yearly basis. So here's the long range forecast for the winter 2024-2025. Precipitation wise, we're going to be well above normal. So that's great for the ag industry, for all the farmers out there. I think this is going to be very good news, even though we are going to have some dry stretches. And I keep going back to that, but you have to remember the first 3.5 weeks as we go into spring and into summer is going to be dry. So, but we're going to be making up for it in the second half of the cycle. Temperatures are going to be near average all the way through winter. So we are going to have a couple cold snaps as we do every winter, but from an average perspective, we're going to be right smack dab in the 100-year average temperature wise. Snowfall for most of West Central Missouri, 14 to 17 inches, which is well above normal. And again, kind of going back what I just said a couple minutes ago, those in Vernon, maybe southern St. Clair, southern Benton County, you guys might be a few inches lower than that because you stand a little bit better chance of seeing more ice events. And speaking of ice events, 2 to 3 ice events for this winter. And again, that can be freezing rain, sleet, a mixed bag of precipitation of snow, sleet, rain. Polar blast, 2 to 3 blast that will be coming in from the Arctic that we can expect typically in the first part of the cycle. That's when we get that northwest flow. Canada is wide open, and it's going to usher in some very cold air at least a couple times this winter. So here are the active dates to watch. We are toward the end of the first half of the second cycle of the LRC, meaning we're still kind of in that dry, cold stage of the pattern of the cycle. Now we begin to change into the more active stretch right around December 17th through January 11th. So that is going to be an active date where we could see the possibility of 1 or 2 strong storms, maybe even a severe weather event, and the potential to see the strong winter storm if the conditions are correct. Now, February 3rd through February 25th, that's also going to be an active date to watch, and that is going to be 48 days past our active stretch of December 17th through January 11th. Now, during those two active dates, we can expect 5 storm systems, 2 big winter storm systems, a chance for strong thunderstorms, maybe even a couple severe events, rain, ice, and snow. And this is going to be, again, the warmer part of the cycle. And that's the reason why we could see those icing events, because as one storm system comes in and we begin a big warm up with southerly breezes coming from the Gulf, and then it kicks out by the kicker system and ushers in cold Arctic air. Where those two meet, we could have some ice events going on during the second half of the cycle. So if I am really being concerned about anything, it's really going to be between that February 3rd through the 25th. I think that's when we're going to get likely our bulk of snow, as well as the potential to see a ice storm or two. Now, December 17th through January 11th, I am seeing a couple of strong systems coming in right around the 17th and the 20th. But it looks like it's going to be mainly all rain event. Maybe a little bit of a change over to snow. And then right around Christmas, we're going to have a weaker kicker system that's going to be pushing out the strong system, and maybe even see some flakes fly right around Christmas here in West Central Missouri. So our white Christmas is still in play for West Central Missouri. And then as we go right around New Year's, from say the 1st through the 5th, that's when that last kicker system comes through, and that could be a big system. That's the one I'm really kind of watching right around New Year's to be our first winter storm here in West Central Missouri. That's not saying we're not getting any snow till New Year's Day. We do have some events that could give us some snowfall, might even give us 1 inch of snowfall at the radio station to win the snowflake contest. So excited about who's going to win that multi-$1,000 prize package. But right around New Year's is what I'm really focusing on, taking a look at all the data as we go forward, getting a little bit closer to that date. So that is what we've got going on during our active periods over the winter. And again, me personally, guys, I just want to thank you all for your support you've given me over the last few years, and to be able to give back to the community is such a great feeling. I want to thank all those that supported me over the last 3 or 4 years. Radford Media Group, to be able to allow my words to get out to the community. And I challenge each of you this Christmas to give something back to your neighbor, a friend, or maybe a family member, and feel that magic of the season. Because I couldn't do it without you guys. And Radford Media Group, they allowed me the avenue to be able to get my knowledge, my expertise out there to you guys. So I want to thank each and every one of you guys for all of your support. So again, the active dates to watch, December 17th through January 11th. And again, February 3rd through February 25th. Those are going to be our 2 active stretches during this winter that we really have to pay close attention to. And again, 5 storm systems, 2 big winter storms possible, chance of strong thunderstorms, maybe severe event, rain, ice, snow, and the warmer part of the cycle. And so that is my LRC winter weather forecast. And I want to thank all of you guys for hanging out with me. And again, thank you guys for all your support. We will be having one of our exciting raffles that will be taking place in February, in which anybody has a donation that they want to give to Subby's Weather Talk. I provide all of the software, the streaming software, everything that I have, I do myself, and you guys help us with your donations. You guys help us be corporate sponsors of the LRC and to this model that I am a huge proponent to. It is just remarkable when I see it on the screen, and I hope you guys seen a little bit of that with this live stream. And going back, I mean, there's no making this stuff up. No making this stuff up. Here we have a low pressure system bringing in northwest flow, bringing our cold temperatures. And then in the second part of the cycle, same time period, we see the same upper air pattern yet again, giving us northwest flow, bringing us to the cold part of the cycle. So it's just remarkable. This is something that our kids are going to be utilizing and our great grandkids for years to come. So thank you guys so much. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I am going to be having this out on all of our social media platforms on Friday. So I encourage you, if you miss this in part, you can jump on Friday and you'll be able to watch it on Facebook or Twitter. You'll be able to see it on TikTok. You'll be able to see it on all of our social media platforms on Friday. But those of you that joined us to get the scoop live, I appreciate you guys jumping in and watching. And again, just a brief recap. I'm not going to go over all the slides, but right now we are in the boring first half of the second cycle of the LRC, and this will be the colder part of the pattern, the dry part of the pattern. There'll be a couple storm systems moving through that might give us some flurry, maybe a small snow event, but they're going to be very minor. And right around the 17th through the 20th of this month, we will begin our second half of the LRC cycle, and there's multiple storms that will line up one after another during this active stretch, and it's going to bring a wide variety of weather to West Central Missouri, including strong storms, possibly ice storm, a big winter storm, and it will be the warmer part of the cycle. Now remember, this is going to carry through all the way to the springtime. So the second half of the LRC cycle in March, April, and May, we're going to have the same setup where you have 2, 3, 4 storm systems lined up one after another that will be a focus of strong to severe outbreaks of storms here in the Midwest. So I am looking for a very active severe storm season. And of course, as we get a little bit closer to that time period, we will go into more detail when I have my spring LRC weather forecast coming up, probably in late February, early March. And I might even introduce it at our spring storm seminar that we will be having here in Henry County at the Benson Center, with the date to be announced at a later time. Hi, Sheila. Thanks for jumping in. And again, potential to see some strong storms, possibly severe in the second half of the cycle. We'll be really watching this December 16th through January 6th. for any stronger storm systems. A lot of rain. We're going to be looking well above average precipitation as we go into likely this weekend into next week. And the big kicker of the LRC pattern is going to be this potential to see well above average ice accumulation. That could be sleet, freezing rain, mixed precip. I think we're going to see a couple of significant ice events this winter for west central Missouri. 14 to 17 inches of snowfall expected here in west central Missouri. That's well above average, in which our average here is about a little over 11.5 inches on average for the 8 counties grouping. All right, guys, that's all I have for today. And again, I will be posting this to all the social media platforms on Friday. If anybody has any questions on the LRC, maybe a forecast of some sort, maybe you're going on a trip, you're going to be traveling, reach out to me, because I've got all the tools at my disposal. We have got the Global Predictor Pro, where you can pick anywhere in the world any day over the next 6 months, and I can get you a forecast for that day based on the LRC. And because of your all generosity, last year we became corporate sponsors of the LRC, and we get to utilize the LRC weather dashboard, which will give us all kinds of information on forecasting temperatures, snow, rain, cloud cover. It is amazing the information that I pull from this dashboard to put out forecasts for you guys on Radford Media Group and Subby's Weather Talk. So I've got all of this at my disposal. I am willing to help you guys decide whether or not it'll be a good trip to Florida or not this winter. So utilize that. Reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to help you guys out. And again, thank you guys for all the support through the years. And make sure you guys subscribe to Radford Media Group YouTube channel, as I've got a lot of exciting member-only type of content that I'm going to be posting on there, as well as maybe a couple of contests in 2025 for all the subscribers to Radford Media Group. So definitely make sure you click like and subscribe to the channel to keep up on all the latest. And of course, every day I have content on our 95.3 KDKD Facebook page, as well as Subby's Weather Talk group page on Facebook. So thank you guys so much. Stay weather aware. We'll be talking to you soon.